My sister got pregnant by my husband while carrying his kid. My dad gave them the business I built like it was nothing. So I let it crash and built one they'll never reach. Now, after she ruined everything, they're begging for my help. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now, let's start the video. Hey, I've been debating whether to post this for a while. Not really looking for advice or anything. It just feels like I need to put it somewhere. And maybe someone's been through something similar. I'm not a writer or anything, so sorry if this gets a bit long or messy. Just trying to explain it the way it happened. So, I'm 34, female. I was married to Donald, 32, for 6 years, together a bit longer than that. We had a pretty normal life, or so I thought. Small apartment in the suburbs, decent jobs, weekend grocery runs, fighting over where to order takeout, watching crime shows until one of us fell asleep. That kind of thing. It wasn't always exciting, but it felt stable, comfortable. You don't really expect things to blow up when everything seems steady. I worked for my dad's logistics company for most of my adult life, not just as another employee. I was the one that made things actually function. I handled the books, set up the online systems, dealt with all the accounting and invoicing. I even got us our first major contract. Without me, the company wouldn't be what it was. I don't say that to brag. It's just facts. Then there's Abigail, my younger sister. She's 28, and she's always been the golden girl. She once borrowed my car to help a friend move, said it'd be back by noon. Came back 3 days later, dented, low on gas, reeking like it hosted a circus. Didn't apologize. Just said, stuff happens. I covered for her, told Dad it was my fault for not laying ground rules. That's who I was, the one always fixing her messes. Should have seen it coming. You know the type. Doesn't take anything seriously. Fails upward. Somehow she's good at talking. Has that smile that makes people let things slide. My dad gave her more second chances than I can count. I always figured, hey, whatever, she's my sister, right? She'll grow up eventually. Anyway, about a year ago, I told Donald I was late. I wasn't pregnant. I never was. But the conversation shifted something between us. He acted weird about it, relieved, but also distant. And then things got even weirder. Abigail started coming around more often. Too often. And not for me. I noticed it immediately. Not anything overt, just a kind of tension between them, the kind that prickles your skin, even though nothing technically looks wrong. I tried to ignore it, but my gut wouldn't let it go. Then the phone thing started. Donald used to leave his phone lying around, unlocked. Now it was always in his pocket, face down, notifications silenced. He took calls in the other room. He'd say it was work, but he worked from home 3 days a week. What calls? I kept brushing it off. I didn't want to be that wife, paranoid, accusatory. But then one night, I was sitting on the porch, completely blank, buzzing inside like I had caffeine in my veins, and I saw his iPad inside, same iCloud account. I walked back in, quiet, calm, like I didn't want to scare the truth away. I opened it. Messages were synced, and there it was. Not the kind of pictures you'd expect, but enough. Abigail and Donald at a cafe I didn't even know he liked. Another one at the duck pond. Our duck pond. The one where he proposed. She was smiling in those pictures. That smile, she told me, was just for me. Yeah, it was pointed at Abigail like she invented sunlight. Then a flight confirmation. 2 seats. Same destination Donald and I had been saving for. Our anniversary trip. But the trip was for a weekend in November, and I wasn't invited. Just them. I didn't say anything. Not right away. I kept it in for 2 days. Just watching. Observing. She kissed me goodnight like nothing was wrong. Smiled at me like she wasn't sleeping with my husband. Finally, I brought it up. We were sitting on the couch. I muted the TV and said, I think we should talk. He flinched. About what? I think we should do a paternity test, I said calm. Dead silence, the kind that punches a hole in the room. Then he exploded. How dare you accuse me, he snapped. Do you seriously think I'd cheat on you with your sister? I opened my mouth to respond, but he cut me off. You don't trust me. That's what this is. You're trying to control me. He paced, built momentum. I've been working overtime, juggling stress, and now you're accusing me of being a monster? You're sick. You stew in your own head until you come up with these twisted stories where you're the victim and everyone else is evil. Then came the finale. You just ruined this marriage. He didn't yell after that, just withdrew. Every time I brought it up again, he said, "Not this again," or "You're obsessed." He stopped mentioning Abigail altogether, said, "I don't even like your sister." I almost laughed. A week later, I came home early. Side door. Through the garage. I wasn't trying to catch anything. I had a headache. I just wanted silence. And then I heard him, in the living room, on speakerphone. He didn't hear me come in. "She's asking for a paternity test," he said. Then Abigail's voice. "Crap, did you say anything?" "Donald, I panicked. I told her she's paranoid." "Abigail, what if she makes me take it?" "Donald, she won't. Just keep acting normal." My chest locked up. I backed out quietly. Drove. Turned onto random roads. Slept in my car. I didn't have a plan, but I wasn't going to protect them anymore. I called Abigail. Told her to meet me, near the old auto shop. Quiet, neutral. She showed up late, sunglasses on like we were in a bad soap opera. I leaned against my car, arms crossed. "What's going on?" she asked, way too casual. "You tell me." I nodded toward the bench. We sat. Then I said it. "What the hell are you doing sneaking around with Donald?" She flinched, not scared, guilty. "We're just friends," she said, scratching the back of her neck. Classic Abigail move. "The cafe, the duck pond, the flight, that's your idea of helping?" Silence. "You slept with him, didn't you?" She didn't say anything, just looked away. I pushed. "You know I'm not pregnant, but you are. So I'll ask again. Is it his?" A long pause, then, "I think so." That was it. I stood up. "Thanks for the confirmation." And I walked off. That was all I needed. I didn't scream, didn't throw a punch. I just wanted the truth, and I got it. There was a family event coming up, my dad's birthday, a big thing. Everyone shows up, friends, relatives, people I haven't seen since flip phones were a thing. I usually dreaded those things. Too many fake hugs, too much small talk, but this time I was actually looking forward to it. Maybe I was finally ready to show up and not feel like the background character in my own life. Maybe for once, I wasn't walking into a setup. But that peace didn't last long. I overheard a phone call and everything flipped. Not in a rage kind of way. More like a switch got hit and everything just went cold. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt done. I didn't confront Donald. Didn't slam doors. I acted like everything was fine. That was probably the strangest part, pretending like I hadn't heard Abigail say, "What do we do?" So I figured, what better time? If they wanted to lie to my face and pretend nothing was happening, then I was going to make sure everyone heard the truth, not through whispers, not in private. I wanted to say it once, clear and direct, in front of every person they cared about. I stayed chill for the next few days. Donald kept doing his thing, texting too much, taking calls outside, eyes always glued to his screen. I stopped asking questions. I stopped trying to have the talk. Every time he looked at me, I think he knew something had shifted, but I think he also convinced himself I had let it go. That's what guilt does sometimes. It makes people believe they're getting away with it because you're quiet. Abigail texted me the day before the dinner. "You coming?" I replied, "Wouldn't miss it." She sent back a thumbs up emoji. I didn't reply. Saturday came. We drove to my parents' place together. Donald sat beside me in the car like nothing was wrong. I didn't say much. He didn't notice or didn't want to. Everyone was already there. My mom had made her famous lasagna. Abigail was already helping in the kitchen. Donald went to say hi to her like she wasn't sleeping with him behind my back. She flinched when I looked at her, just a little. Dinner started around 7. I sat at the far end of the table, right next to Donald. Abigail was a few seats down. My dad was at the head, smiling wide, making jokes like always. Then it was my turn. I stood up slowly, took my time. The room quieted, the way families do when someone rises to make a toast. I looked at my dad first. "Happy birthday," I said. "Thank you for everything you've done, for the company, for raising us." He smiled, nodded, raised his glass. Then I turned to the rest of the table. "And since this is a family event," I said, "I just wanted to share some news." A few people chuckled nervously. Someone joked, "Don't tell me you're moving." I ignored it. I looked directly at Donald. His hand froze on his glass. Then I looked at Abigail. She stopped chewing. "She's pregnant," I said, "but not with my child. She's pregnant with his. The silence that followed, it wasn't shock, it was knowing. Donald's face drained of color. Abigail's eyes widened, like the floor had dropped out from beneath her. Nobody defended them. No one clapped back. It was a kind of silence that stings harder than words. Donald opened his mouth, but no words came out. Abigail dropped her fork. My mom gasped. My dad half stood, then sat back down. I turned to him. Thought you should know who your future heir really is. Then I sat back down, calm, still. I didn't wait for the fallout. I stood, walked into the house, grabbed my keys off the counter, and left. I found out later that the dinner collapsed within minutes. My mom burst into tears. Donald tried to deny it, said I was paranoid. But Abigail didn't say a word, just sat there frozen, like a statue of guilt. My dad ended the night early, told everyone to go home. That silence, the one I walked away from, it followed them. I could still hear the shouting starting behind me as I pulled out of the driveway. That night, I drove around again, parked by the lake, just sat there. I don't even remember what I was thinking. I wasn't sad. It felt like finishing a book you should have stopped reading months ago. When I got home the next morning, Donald was already up, sitting at the table, drinking tea like he did every morning. He didn't look shocked to see me, didn't look nervous, just tired. That's the only word for it, tired. I dropped my keys on the counter, stood there for a second, didn't know where to start. He broke the silence. So you really had to do that last night? I let out a small laugh, not real, the kind you make when someone says something absurd. You serious? I asked. He looked up at me. You embarrassed me in front of your whole family. I shook my head. No, Donald. You did that. I just stopped covering for you. He rolled his eyes. We could have talked in private. We did, I said. I asked for the test. You flipped. I asked you again, calmly. You acted like I was insane. He went quiet, just stared into his mug like it held answers. I sat down across from him. I saw the photos, Donald. You and her at that cafe, at the duck pond, our duck pond. You looked happy. She looked happy. That smile you said was just for me. Guess you gave it to her, too. I paused. And the flight confirmation. 2 tickets. Same trip we were saving for. The one I thought we'd finally take together. Except, you're going with her. November, right? A long weekend getaway. Just you and your upgrade. He didn't flinch. Just sipped his tea like he was powering through a minor inconvenience. I stepped back, shook my head. You were going to let me pay the bills while you packed a bag for her. That wasn't confusion. That was commitment. So tell me, what was the end game? Keep me around for stability while you played house with Abigail on the side? Or were you hoping I'd stay blind just long enough to help you pack her toothbrush? He finally looked at me. Not guilty, not emotional, just tired. Like I was the one being unreasonable. It's not that simple, he said. No, I leaned forward. Enlighten me. He set the mug down and shrugged like we were discussing weather. You were always busy, always working, always stressed. Abigail, she's easier. She listens. She makes me feel seen. I blinked. That's what this was? So that's it? I asked. She makes you feel seen and suddenly vows don't matter? He folded his arms. You think being reliable is enough. You show up, you pay bills, do what you think a good spouse should do, but you're never really here. You don't talk. You don't notice things. She does. I let out a small laugh, no humor in it. So you sleep with my sister because she has better conversation skills? He didn't even flinch. It's more than that. She makes me feel wanted, like I matter. You were just stuck in routine. Abigail's not afraid to take risks. She lives. I stared at him. You mean she's irresponsible, reckless, the same girl who trashed my car, ghosted jobs, and can't hold a relationship for more than 6 months. That's your standard now? He looked down. She made me feel something. You made me feel stuck. I leaned back, stared at the ceiling, then locked eyes with him again. You made your choice, Donald. You texted her while I was asleep beside you, over and over. You planned trips with her using the money I earned. You didn't just trip and fall into this. You built it, brick by brick. He didn't deny it. Is it your kid? I asked flatly. He hesitated. I don't know. That one landed hard, even though I already knew. I dragged my hand down my face. My voice dropped low. I built a future around this, around you. I worked overtime so we'd have savings for the baby. I read stroller reviews at 1 a.m. I gave everything I had to make this life work. He looked up, but still said nothing. You didn't fall for her, Donald. You settled for her, because she was there, because she made you feel important while I was busy keeping everything from falling apart. No excuses, no fight, no regret, just silence. Just a man who chose chaos because it gave him attention. I stood up. No need to drag this out. I grabbed my bag. Congrats, I said. You traded up to someone who makes you feel alive. Let's see how that works out once the diapers start piling up. He didn't respond. Didn't stop me. I grabbed my duffel bag from behind the door where I'd left it the day before, tossed in clothes, not folding, just grabbing what I needed to get by. He watched me, but didn't move. Where are you going? He finally asked. Somewhere that isn't here. He sniffed, like maybe he wanted to cry, but couldn't. I paused at the door. I meant it when I said I wanted that test, I told him. You're going to do it. Don't ghost me. I deserve to know. He nodded without looking at me. Okay. I walked out and didn't look back. Not long after, I ended up at my friend's place, one of those people who doesn't push. He saw my face when I showed up, handed me the spare key without a word. Couch is yours. Fridge has leftovers. Wi-Fi passwords on the note. That was it. Exactly what I needed. I spent the next few days just lying there, not doing much of anything, not angry, not sad, just blank. My brain was on airplane mode. The silence felt better than any conversation could. I ignored my phone most of the time. Didn't want to see texts from Donald. Didn't want to hear from Abigail. I didn't even talk to my mom, and we're usually close. But my dad? He kept calling. Same time, every day. Didn't say much in his voicemails, just call me when you can. I picked up on the fourth day, mostly to make the calls stop. He didn't bother with small talk. You coming by the house? He asked. Probably not, I replied. He paused. We need to talk, just us. I could tell by his tone, he wasn't calling to check on me. He had something to say, something loaded. So I went, not because I wanted to hear his side, but because I needed to say mine. He was in his usual chair when I arrived, reading over some paperwork like nothing had happened. I sat down across from him, didn't say anything. He looked up, nodded like I had just walked in late from lunch break. No tension, no shame. Just straight to business. Then he said it. I think you need to let this go. I waited for the rest, but I'm disappointed in both of them. That part never came. My first thought was, let what go? I didn't respond. I wanted to make sure I heard him right. He went on. There's a baby involved, and maybe things happened the wrong way, but you can't undo that now. I blinked. Couldn't believe that was the first thing out of his mouth. He continued like he had rehearsed this speech. Abigail wants to do the right thing now. She's ready to step up. Maybe it's time to let her and Donald be together, build something new, give the baby a proper family. I let out a dry laugh, not because it was funny, because it was absurd. That's the guy you want to pass everything down to? The guy who slept with your daughter's husband behind her back? Who lied until I exposed it? At your birthday dinner? He didn't flinch. He knows he messed up, but he's still your sister. She wants to make it right. That's when it hit me. He wasn't going to pick sides, wasn't even going to pretend he was disappointed. He just wanted to patch things up, for the sake of appearances, for the business, for family. Then came the part that sealed it. You also need to think about the company. Clients notice things. People talk. This could hurt us if we're not careful. I leaned forward. You think clients care about family drama? They care about who gets the job done, and that's never been Abigail. He looked like he wanted to argue, but didn't, because he knew I was right. All this time, I thought I was building something real. Turns out I was just holding patchwork over a sinking ship. That's when I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't need his support. They'd chosen who they were. Now I was choosing who I'd be. I looked him dead in the eyes. I'm selling my shares. His face froze. What? I'm done, I said, clearer this time. I'll talk to a lawyer. You can give her the keys. I want no part of it. Not the company, not the dinners, not the lies. He didn't say anything for a full minute, just stared at me like I'd slapped him. Maybe to him I had. I didn't care. So I left, just like that. And I followed through. I found a lawyer, told them I wanted out clean. Didn't care if I lost a little money in the process. I just didn't want to be tied to any of it anymore. The lawyer was confused at first, kept asking if I was sure. I said I was. In the middle of all that, Abigail texted me once. Just a plain message, can we talk? I didn't reply. A couple days later, she tried again. I didn't mean for things to go that far. I never wanted to hurt you. I stared at it for a moment, then locked my phone and walked away. There's no version of that conversation that ends with me feeling better. So what's the point? Donald messaged me too about a week after. I know I ruined everything. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me. It didn't even make me angry. I just read it once and left it there. Some people think closure comes from a long talk and crying it out. For me, it was silence. Not answering felt like the most peaceful thing I could have done. I didn't need explanations. I'd already heard enough. Eventually, Abigail ended up running the business. Not officially, but my dad let her take over the day-to-day stuff. At first, I didn't care. Then I started hearing things. Through old contacts, drivers, former clients, missed payments, clients walking away, drivers quitting. Word was spreading. Things weren't being handled. Schedules were off. Mistakes were piling up. I didn't cheer. I wasn't happy about it. But I wasn't sorry either. You can't run something you never respected in the first place. That company meant something to me. Because I built it. Abigail? It was just handed to her. Then the call came. From my dad. Middle of the week. Middle of the day. No small talk. You free to talk about the company? I just stared at the screen for a second. Then I picked up. He got right to it. Things are a mess. Abigail's trying, but it's not working. I think we both know she's not built for this. We're bleeding clients. I need help. I didn't respond right away. Let it hang. Help with what? I asked. Picking up the pieces? He sighed. You know how this business runs. You always did. I shouldn't have let things go the way they did. That part almost made me laugh. You mean letting your golden girl run it into the ground while you pretended everything was fine? He didn't argue. I'm asking you, he said. Not as your father, but as someone who knows what this company really needs. I let that sit, let him feel the weight of it. Then I said it. I'm not coming back to fix what she broke. A pause. I warned you. You made your choice. He asked, so that's it? No, I said, that's the consequence. I ended the call. No yelling, no emotion, just truth. I meant it when I walked away. And I wasn't going to be their emergency exit now that things weren't going their way. I moved. Rented a small apartment in a different city, found work consulting for logistics firms. Not glamorous, but quiet. No office politics, no family drama. Just work and peace. And that peace, man, it felt better than anything I'd felt in years. I didn't block them. I didn't need to. I wanted the door closed, not locked. I guess part of me still wanted to know if they'd sink or swim. Not that I cared. But you know how it is. When you walk away from a burning building, you still glance over your shoulder to see if it collapses. Abigail tried one more time. Texted me out of nowhere. I know I don't deserve it, but if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I didn't reply. I didn't even finish reading the preview in the notification. Just swiped it away like junk mail. That was the last time I heard from her. But Donald, he came back around in a way I didn't expect. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was in the middle of a client call when I saw his name pop up on my phone. I ignored it, but he left a voicemail, something he hadn't done the last few times. Later that night, I listened to it. His voice was shaky. Hey, I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that Abigail's gone. She left. I'm alone with the baby. I made a mistake. I know that now. You didn't deserve any of it. I wish I saw things clearly back then. Click. I sat there staring at my phone. The baby. I hadn't thought about the DNA test in weeks. I never got the result. I'd told him to do it. He nodded. Then silence. Part of me thought maybe they never followed through. Maybe they were just hoping I'd forget, that I'd fade out while they played house. But now he wanted to talk. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of the voicemail, but because of what it probably meant. Abigail bailed. Of course she did. Classic Abigail. Can't hold a 9-to-5, let alone motherhood. She burned it all down, then ghosted. Still, I didn't respond. I wasn't his rescue plan. A few days later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name, handwritten. Inside, a printed page. A DNA test result. I don't know who sent it. Maybe Donald. Maybe someone else who felt guilty. But there it was, in black and white. The child was Donald's. 99.8% match. I stared at that number for a long time. Not because I was surprised. Because it was real now. No more doubt. No more wondering if I was just being paranoid. It was fact. Donald was the father. All the nights I spent second-guessing myself, telling myself maybe I was overthinking it, maybe I was imagining the looks, the tension, the excuses. Nope, it was all real. And somehow that brought peace, not sadness, not even anger. Just finality. Like the last puzzle piece had finally snapped into place. And then something wild happened. I got a call from an old client, one of the biggest back at the family business, the guy who gave us our first big break when nobody else would. He told me he tracked me down through a mutual contact. You still doing consulting? He asked. I told him I was. Good, he said. We pulled our contract from your dad's company. Too messy over there, but I liked working with you. You made things work. I want to move it all under your name, if you're interested. I almost dropped the phone. That contract was huge. Not just another gig, but a foundation, something real, a stepping stone to building something sustainable, something mine. Not freelance invoices and borrowed tools. A real business. Something clicked. Maybe this whole mess didn't just blow up for nothing. Maybe it was supposed to happen. Maybe walking away was the first right move I'd made in a long time. I said yes. We scheduled a meeting. And just like that, I was building again. Slowly, carefully. Not for legacy, not to prove anything, not for image. Just for me. But that wasn't the last time I heard from Donald. Last week, he showed up. In person. Yeah, I know. Wild. I opened the door, and there he was. Same tired eyes, holding the baby on his hip, standing like he wasn't even sure why he was there. Can I talk to you? He asked. Just for a minute? I didn't answer. I just stood there, watching him. He adjusted the baby in his arms and gave me this look, the kind people give when they know they've already lost, but still want to try. I wanted you to see him, he added. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. Leaning against the porch railing, I said, Why are you here, Donald? He looked down at the baby like the kid might give him the right words. He doesn't have anyone else, he said finally. Abigail's gone, moved out of state, blocked me on everything. My job cut my hours. It's been hard, and I guess I just thought you should know. I said nothing. He kept going. I've had time to think about everything. You were right. About the test, about her, about everything. I thought she'd step up, but the second things got real, she bailed. I thought I was choosing something exciting, but I ended up with silence and bills. He looked up, tears forming in his eyes. You were always solid. You showed up, and I didn't see it until too late. I let that sit. He wiped his face with his sleeve. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not expecting anything. I don't know. Maybe I needed you to see him. Maybe I just needed you to know. He tilted the baby slightly, like that was supposed to move me. He's your nephew, he added. I just shook my head. No, I said quietly. He's your son, and you made your choices. He looked down. I've been rebuilding my life, I told him. You and Abigail tore it down. I didn't ask for that. I didn't deserve it. But I took what was left, and I built something better. He looked like he was about to speak again, but I cut him off. Not harsh, just direct. You showed up for closure, I said, but I got mine a long time ago. Then I turned around, opened the door, and walked back inside. I didn't slam it, didn't lock it, just closed it. He stood out there for maybe another minute, probably hoping I'd come back out, that I'd change my mind. I didn't. Eventually, he walked to his car, strapped the baby into the back seat, and drove off. That was that. It's been a few months since then. I haven't heard from either of them. No texts, no emails, no random pop-ups. The consulting contract I got from that old client, it turned into something bigger. I now run my own small firm. Lean but tight. 5 people under me. Steady contracts. No dead weight. We do things by the book. We don't overpromise. We deliver. Clients respect that. Turns out honesty and consistency still matter in this world. Funny thing. One of the drivers from my dad's company called me last week. Told me the old place is barely holding on. Contracts dried up. My dad's health is shaky. Abigail's name is poison in the industry now. She got a job at some warehouse in another state. Guess her charm wore off when people actually expected results. I didn't laugh. I didn't celebrate. I just nodded. That's karma. It's not loud. Doesn't show up with a warning. It just takes its time. And then it hits. Reputation, money, pride. It always hits. Eventually. I never got revenge. Didn't destroy anyone. Didn't drag their names through the mud. Didn't post exposés online or send screenshots to the group chat. I just told the truth. Then I walked away. And while they scrambled to piece together the wreckage they created, I built a better life. Quietly. Now I get up every morning, make my own coffee, and answer to no one. I don't flinch when my phone rings. I don't second-guess text messages. I don't wonder what's being said behind my back. There's peace in that. And peace, real peace, is loud when you've lived with chaos for too long. Sometimes people ask me if I ever regret how I handled it. If I wish I had tried harder to fix the marriage, to salvage something with my sister, to make the business work for the sake of family. The answer is no. Because the truth is, I did try. I tried to be present. I tried to support everyone. I worked harder than anyone in that family, emotionally, financially, professionally. But you can't build a future with people who are committed to self-destruction. You can't carry everyone and expect to stand upright forever. Donald and Abigail chose each other, and they did it thinking I wouldn't have the strength to walk away. But I did, and I never looked back. There's no second chapter for them in my story. No redemptive arc I'm waiting for. No open door or burning hope that one day they'll come around. That part of my life is over. The baby? I'm not going to pretend it doesn't cross my mind sometimes, what it might have been like if things had turned out differently. But he's not my son, and I'm not his mother. I'm the woman who refused to raise a child born from betrayal, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. And no, I don't hate that child. I just refuse to let his existence be used as a tool to guilt me into sacrificing myself all over again. Let Donald figure it out. Let him carry the weight of what he broke. He wanted to feel seen. Now he gets to look in the mirror every day and see exactly who he is. Abigail, she vanished. No apologies, no accountability. Classic. I won't be surprised if years from now she resurfaces again. Different name, same chaos. She always had a way of slipping through consequences. But that's not my concern anymore. The last time I drove past our old neighborhood, I didn't even feel anything. No ache, no longing, no anger. Just distance. Like I was passing through a town from an old story I barely remember. And that, more than anything, told me I was finally free. There's a strange kind of power in surviving something designed to break you. In realizing you didn't just get through it, you came out better, stronger, clearer, and whole. People think the best revenge is making them jealous, showing off some glamorous new life or romantic partner or social media glow up. But for me, the best revenge was silence and peace, and knowing that I get to choose every single part of my life from here on out, who I let in, who I trust, where I spend my energy. No one takes that from me again. Not ever. And maybe, just maybe, that's the happy ending I didn't know I needed.